The morning began with a jolt that tore through the silence like a scream trapped inside a storm. Everything in the towering glass building was calm, polished, and perfectly controlled, until a tiny pair of trembling hands pushed open the heavy office door, and a voice no louder than a whisper shattered the world of one of the country's most powerful CEOs. It wasn't the words alone that froze him. It was the fear in her eyes, the innocence shaking in her breath, and the raw, desperate truth she carried. Right after this hook. Before we go deeper, viewers are encouraged to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if they believe in kindness, second chances, and in the power of humanity, and also tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this unite all of us. Andrew Hale, a man known for building empires and breaking barriers, had never been caught off guard by anyone or anything. Yet this morning, a 7-year-old girl named Emma stood before him with tangled hair, dust on her shoes, and a fear so real it made his breath lodge in his throat. For years, Andrew had lived with the cold efficiency of a machine, meetings, numbers, deals, and decisions that shaped cities. But today, something cracked inside him. Emma was clutching a note, crumpled, smudged, and pressed tightly in her palm as though it contained her entire world. Her mother, Lily Evans, a dedicated staff member in the building who cleaned offices late into the night, had never failed to show up for work. But last night, she went home exhausted after a double shift, and Emma woke up alone, confused, and unable to wake her mother no matter how many times she shook her or called her name. The child had walked miles, barefoot for part of the way after her slippers broke, just to reach the one place she believed someone would listen. Andrew's mind raced. Lily had been a quiet woman, humble, hard-working, always thanking everyone even for the smallest kindness. She never asked for help, never complained, and always had a soft smile as if gratitude was stitched into her soul. He had seen her only once, years ago, when she helped him pick up papers he had dropped during a particularly exhausting day. That tiny moment, insignificant to the world, had lingered in his memory like a reminder that kindness still existed. And now her child stood here, pleading silently. His heart pounded in a way he didn't understand. Without hesitation, he bent down, placed a steady hand on Emma's shoulder, and followed her out of the office, feeling the heavy weight of fear swallow the air around him. They rushed through the city as the morning sun tried to break through the clouds, but even its warmth felt dimmed by the gravity of the situation. The streets blurred past them, but Andrew's mind was stuck on one question: why was this little girl carrying this burden alone? Emma led him to a small, crumbling apartment building tucked between abandoned shops. Once inside, the stale scent of fatigue, poverty, and silent suffering filled the hallway. Andrew felt every breath grow heavier. When they reached her door, she paused, her tiny fingers trembling as she pushed it open. Inside, the room was small, too small for two lives that had faced such big battles. The curtains were thin, letting in a pale light that revealed Lily lying motionless on the bed. Andrew's pulse turned cold. The CEO who controlled corporations suddenly felt powerless. He stepped closer, calling her name softly, then louder, his voice nearly breaking. The room felt suspended in time. None of his titles or accomplishments meant anything in this moment. His fear deepened when she didn't respond. He checked her pulse, weak, thready, fading like a candle fighting its last breath. Realization hit him, hard. She wasn't gone, but she was slipping. He immediately called emergency services, his voice urgent and sharp, pleading in a way he hadn't since he was a boy. Emma clutched his coat tightly, burying her face against him, and something inside Andrew, a heart that had been dormant for years, awoke with fierce protectiveness. The ambulance arrived swiftly, and Lily was rushed through corridors of blinding white lights and racing footsteps. Andrew carried Emma the entire time, refusing to let her feet touch the cold hospital floors. It felt strange to him, this instinct to protect, this willingness to break every barrier he'd built. Doctors worked tirelessly, diagnosing Lily with severe exhaustion, untreated infection, and dangerously low blood pressure. Years of overworking, skipping meals, and sacrificing her health for survival had pushed her body beyond its limits. Emma sat silently beside her mother's bed, holding her hand, whispering words only a child could whisper, words stitched with hope, fear, and love. Andrew stood nearby, battling emotions he had buried long ago. His mind flashed back to his own childhood, losing his mother unexpectedly, being too late to save her, carrying guilt like a permanent scar. Watching Emma brought all those memories crashing back. He realized why his chest felt so heavy, why his breath felt stolen. This wasn't just a crisis, it was a mirror reflecting his own pain. He vowed silently, fiercely, that this time he would not fail. For Emma, for Lily, for the mother he still missed. Hours passed, each one wrapped in tension. But eventually, Lily's breathing stabilized, and her eyes opened slowly, filled with confusion, then relief when she saw Emma curled beside her. Andrew stepped forward gently, his eyes soft but determined. Lily tried to sit up, apologizing for causing trouble, explaining her situation, her hardships, her endless work shifts, her fear of losing the small job she depended on. Andrew listened, feeling each word engrave itself into his conscience. He suddenly realized how many people suffered silently right under the roof of the empire he built. This moment became a turning point. Lily was kept under observation, and Andrew ensured she received the best care. He covered all her expenses without hesitation. Emma stayed by her mother's side while Andrew handled paperwork, spoke to doctors, and even hurried out to buy a warm meal for them because he noticed neither had eaten properly in days. As part of Emma's simple happiness, he brought her a small plush bear from the hospital gift shop. When she hugged it, her smile, fragile yet sincere, made something inside him melt. Days passed, and Lily began to recover. Andrew visited them every day, bringing small comforts, a new blanket, children's books for Emma, fresh fruit, even a portable heater for their apartment because he discovered they had been living without one during the cold nights. Lily was overwhelmed, unable to understand why a man like him cared so much. Andrew didn't explain. He didn't know how to put it into words. The guilt he carried, the childhood memories, the helplessness he once felt, the sense of responsibility he now embraced. As Lily regained strength, Andrew offered her a better job at his company, not out of charity but because she had shown extraordinary dedication over the years, and he believed she deserved stability and respect. He also connected Emma with a scholarship program, ensuring her education would be secure. He even arranged for their apartment building to be renovated because no family should have to live in conditions that steal their dignity. Lily cried silently when she received this news, her hands trembling, her breath breaking into gratitude she couldn't express. But the greatest change happened inside Andrew. He started spending more time with people, noticing their struggles, listening to their stories. He created support programs for single parents, healthcare plans for low-wage employees, emergency funds for staff members in crisis. His life, once empty despite its success, now felt filled with purpose. He discovered joy in simple acts, sharing meals with Emma and Lily, walking Emma to school occasionally, visiting them after long meetings. The lonely penthouse he once returned to now felt unfamiliar. He preferred sitting in Lily's warm, humble apartment with the sound of laughter echoing softly. Near the end of the story, here is the second engagement request as you asked. If this journey touched your heart, if it reminded you of the importance of humanity, compassion, and standing up for one another, then please engage with this video, like it, share it, comment, and help this story reach more people who need hope today. As time passed, their lives intertwined in ways none of them had expected. Andrew found a piece of himself he didn't know he'd lost. Lily found stability she never dared to dream of. And Emma found not only safety but a father-like warmth she had never known. This story became one of healing, unexpected connections, and the reminder that sometimes the most powerful moments of our lives happen when we least expect them. Before the ending, here is the special request you required. Comment below what part of this story touched your heart the most, because your words inspire us to create more stories that light someone's way in their darkest moment. Lily fully recovered, Emma thrived in school, and Andrew, once feared for his cold precision, became known for his compassion and humanity. And every time someone asked him what changed his life, he remembered the morning a little girl walked into his office and whispered the words that brought him to his knees. "My mom didn't wake up." It was the day he learned that true success isn't measured in wealth or power, but in the lives we lift, the hearts we heal, and the moments when we choose kindness over convenience. And in that choice, all three of them found a new beginning, one built not on fear or loss, but on hope, healing, and love.